The vast expanse of space stretched out before the massive viewscreen. Admiral Zax Thor of the Galactic Empire stood tall, his four arms crossed behind his back. His green scales shimmered under the soft light of the command bridge. He looked out at the stars, a smug smile on his face. For over 1,000 years, the Galactic Empire had ruled the known universe with an iron fist. Countless species across millions of worlds bowed to their might. The Empire's warships were the most advanced in the galaxy. Their armies were countless. Their rule was absolute. "Status report," Zax Thor barked, his voice echoing through the bridge. A nervous junior officer, a small blue-skinned alien, hurried over with a datapad. "All systems normal, Admiral. We've just entered the Sol system." Zax Thor nodded. The Sol system, home to a primitive species known as humans. The Empire had discovered Earth nearly a century ago, but had largely ignored it. The humans were considered too primitive to be a threat or useful as slaves. "Bring up the data on Earth," the Admiral ordered. A holographic display flickered to life, showing a small blue and green planet. Text scrolled beside it, listing basic information about Earth and its inhabitants. Zax Thor read aloud, his voice dripping with disdain. "Humans, bipedal mammals. Lifespan less than a century. Primitive technology. No faster than light travel. Limited space exploration." He let out a harsh laugh. And to think, some in the Empire actually feared these creatures might pose a threat one day. The junior officer spoke up hesitantly. "But Admiral, there are reports that the humans have been advancing rapidly in recent years. Some say they might even be close to developing FTL technology." Zax Thor whirled around, his eyes narrowing. "Those are nothing but rumors spread by fearmongers and fools. Look at their planet. Do you see any signs of advanced technology? Any orbital defenses? Any fleets of warships?" The officer shrank back. "No, Admiral." "Exactly," Zax Thor said. "The humans are no threat to us. They're barely more than animals." He turned back to the view screen, watching as they approached Earth. The planet grew larger, its continents and oceans becoming visible. "Still," Zax Thor mused, "perhaps it's time we reminded these humans of their place in the galaxy. It wouldn't do for them to get any ideas about resisting the Empire." He raised his voice, addressing the entire bridge crew. "Prepare a small fleet. We'll make a show of force. Destroy a few of their primitive satellites. Maybe level a city or two. That should keep them in line for another century." The crew hurried to obey, sending out orders to the rest of the fleet. Soon, a dozen warships broke away from the main fleet, heading towards Earth. Zax Thor watched with satisfaction. This was how the Empire maintained its power. Through fear and overwhelming force. No species had ever successfully resisted them. The humans would be no different. As the ships approached Earth, alarms suddenly blared across the bridge. The holographic display flickered, showing new information. "Admiral," the junior officer cried out, "we're detecting massive energy signatures coming from the far side of the planet's moon." Zax Thor's smug expression faltered. "What? That's impossible. The humans don't have any bases on their moon." But before he could say anything more, the impossible happened. From behind Earth's moon, a fleet of ships emerged. But these were no primitive human vessels. They were sleek, advanced warships that rivaled even the Empire's best. The bridge erupted into chaos as officers shouted reports and warnings. Zax Thor stood frozen, unable to believe what he was seeing. The human ships moved with incredible speed and precision. In moments, they had surrounded the small Imperial fleet. Weapons unlike anything Zax Thor had ever seen powered up on the human vessels. This can't be," Zax Thor muttered. "How did they hide this? How did we not know?" As the human fleet opened fire, decimating the Imperial ships with ease, Admiral Zax Thor realized a terrifying truth. The Galactic Empire had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated humanity. And now, they were about to pay the price for their arrogance. The battle was over in minutes. The Imperial ships were reduced to floating debris, and as Zaxthor watched in horror, the human fleet turned its attention to the main Imperial Armada. For the first time in a millennium, the Galactic Empire knew fear, and humanity was just getting started. While the Galactic Empire had been busy ruling the stars, humanity had not been idle. For decades, the people of Earth had been preparing in secret, hidden from the watchful eyes of their potential oppressors. It all began with the discovery of an alien probe that crash-landed in the Amazon rainforest. A team of international scientists, led by Dr. Sarah Chen, had been the first to reach the site. What they found changed the course of human history forever. "This is incredible," Dr. Chen had whispered, her eyes wide as she examined the alien technology. "This probe, it's centuries ahead of anything we have." The world's governments, for once united by a common threat, agreed to keep the discovery secret. They knew that if the Galactic Empire discovered their find, Earth would be conquered or destroyed. Thus began Operation Shadowfall, humanity's daring plan to defend itself against alien threats. Deep beneath the surface of the moon, excavators worked day and night to create vast underground facilities. Here, Earth's brightest minds gathered to reverse engineer the alien technology. John Smith, a former car mechanic from Detroit, proved to be unexpectedly vital to the project. His unconventional approach to problem solving helped crack some of the most challenging aspects of the alien tech. Sometimes, John would say with a grin, "You just need to give it a good whack with a wrench." His unorthodox methods, combined with the brilliant minds of scientists from around the world, led to breakthroughs that would have seemed like magic just a few years earlier. In hidden factories around the globe, new technologies were put into production. Anti-gravity engines, energy shields, and weapons capable of cutting through the strongest known materials in the universe. But humanity's greatest achievement was the development of the quantum fold drive. This revolutionary propulsion system allowed ships to cross vast distances in the blink of an eye, far outpacing even the fastest Imperial vessels. Admiral Jane Rodriguez stood in the control room of Luna Base Alpha, watching as the first fleet of Earth's new warships took shape in the massive underground hangars. "How many ships do we have ready?" she asked her aide. 500, Admiral," the young officer replied, "with another 1,000 nearly complete." Jane nodded, a mix of pride and apprehension on her face. "And the Empire still has no idea." "No, ma'am. Our quantum stealth systems are holding. As far as they know, we're still a primitive species barely able to reach our own moon." The Admiral allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had achieved in secret what the Empire had failed to do in 1,000 years of open dominance. True innovation. Each ship in Earth's fleet was unique, designed to take advantage of human creativity and adaptability. Unlike the uniform vessels of the Empire, Earth's ships were a diverse array of designs, each with its own strengths and specialized roles. The flagship of the fleet, the ESS Defiant, was a marvel of engineering. Its sleek, almost organic design housed weapons powerful enough to tear through Imperial defenses like paper. Its quantum fold drive could outmaneuver anything in the known galaxy. As the day of revelation approached, tension on Earth reached a fever pitch. Everyone, from the highest general to the lowliest technician, knew that the fate of humanity would soon be decided. In homes around the world, families huddled together, watching the skies with a mixture of fear and hope. They knew nothing of the massive fleet hidden on the far side of the moon, but they could sense that something big was about to happen. Little did they know that their secret preparations were about to be put to the ultimate test. The Galactic Empire was coming, and Earth would soon reveal its hand in a game of cosmic poker where the stakes were the very survival of the human race. As Admiral Rodriguez gave the order to prepare the fleet for launch, she couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Whatever happened next, humanity had proven itself capable of incredible things. They had prepared in secret, innovated beyond all expectations, and now stood ready to face the greatest threat the Earth had ever known. The time for hiding was over. The time for humanity to stand up and fight for its place in the galaxy had come. The day of reckoning had arrived. Earth's long-hidden fleet was about to reveal itself to the galaxy, and tension hung in the air like a thick fog. Admiral Jane Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiant, her heart pounding. She watched the main view screen as the Imperial ships approached Earth, their intentions clear. "All ships, prepare for quantum fold," she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "Remember your training. Today, we fight for Earth." Across the fleet, captains relayed the order. In the engine rooms of each ship, engineers initiated the quantum fold drives. The air crackled with energy as the fleet prepared to make history. Back on the Imperial flagship, Admiral Zax Thor was growing impatient. "Why haven't we received any response from the humans? Surely they've detected our approach by now." His junior officer, looking nervous, replied, "Sir, we're detecting some unusual energy readings from behind the moon, but that's impossible. The humans don't have any lunar bases." Zax Thor's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean, impossible? Show me." Before the officer could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. The space around the Imperial fleet suddenly warped and shimmered. In a blinding flash of light, Earth's fleet appeared. Hundreds of ships, each one a unique marvel of human engineering, surrounded the stunned Imperial forces. Zax Thor's jaw dropped. "By the eternal void," he whispered. "What is this?" On the bridge of the Defiant, Admiral Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile. "Open a channel to the Imperial flagship," she ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the shocked face of Admiral Zax Thor. "This is Admiral Jane Rodriguez of the Earth Space Force," she said, her voice firm and clear. "You are trespassing in Earth-controlled space. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." Zax Thor's shock quickly turned to rage. "How dare you? Do you know who we are? We are the Galactic Empire. We will crush your pathetic fleet and turn your world to ash." Jane's expression remained calm. "I don't think you understand the situation, Admiral. Let me demonstrate." She nodded to her weapons officer. "Target their lead destroyer. Fire when ready." The Defiant's main cannon, a marvel of human innovation, powered up. A beam of pure energy lanced out, cutting through the Imperial ship's shields like they weren't even there. The destroyer exploded in a brilliant fireball. Silence fell over both bridges. "That was just one ship," Jane said, her voice cold. "We have hundreds more, each capable of the same. Now I'll repeat myself once. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." Zax Thor's face had turned pale. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Suddenly, the battle erupted. Some Imperial captains, driven by fear or loyalty, opened fire on Earth's fleet. The human ships responded with devastating efficiency. The space around Earth turned into a chaotic light show of weapon fire and explosions. Imperial ships, despite their supposed superiority, fell one after another to Earth's advanced weaponry. On Earth, people watched the sky in awe and terror. Streaks of light and distant flashes told of the battle raging above. In homes, offices, and on the streets, humans held their breath, knowing their fate was being decided. The ESS Defiant danced through the battle, its quantum fold drive allowing it to appear and disappear at will. Other Earth ships demonstrated similarly impossible maneuvers, confounding Imperial tactics. As the battle raged, news spread quickly through the galaxy. Other species, long oppressed by the Empire, watched in stunned disbelief as the humans, a species they had dismissed as primitive, fought the mighty Imperial fleet to a standstill. Hours passed, and the tide of battle clearly turned in Earth's favor. Imperial ships, those that could still fly, began to retreat. The mighty Galactic Empire, for the first time in a millennium, had been defeated. Admiral Rodriguez watched as the last Imperial ships fled. She let out a long breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "Send word to Earth," she said. "The battle is won. We are safe." Cheers erupted across the bridge. echoed in every ship of the fleet and in every home on Earth. Humanity had not only survived its first galactic war, it had emerged victorious. But Jane knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy now knew of Earth's power. The real challenge, navigating the complex web of galactic politics and protecting Earth's newfound position, was just beginning. As celebrations began on Earth, Jane turned her gaze to the stars. The universe had just become a much bigger, more complicated place, but humanity was ready. They had proven themselves on the galactic stage, and now it was time to take their place among the stars. In the days following Earth's stunning victory over the Galactic Empire, the human fleet found itself engaged in a series of skirmishes across the solar system. Imperial reinforcements, drawn by distress calls from the retreating ships, arrived to challenge Earth's newfound dominance. Captain Maria Kovacs of the ESS Artemis watched her tactical display with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Her ship, a nimble corvette designed for hit-and-run attacks, was about to face off against an Imperial cruiser 3 times its size. "All hands, battle stations," Maria ordered, her voice calm despite the odds. "Prepare for quantum fold maneuver Theta 3. The Artemis's engines hummed to life. In the blink of an eye, the ship vanished, reappearing directly above the Imperial cruiser. Before the enemy could react, the Artemis unleashed a barrage of plasma torpedoes, its advanced targeting systems finding weak points in the cruiser's armor. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Earth's ships, each utilizing unique designs and technologies, ran circles around the rigid, predictable Imperial forces. On the bridge of the ESS Defiant, Admiral Rodriguez watched the tactical hologram with pride. "Look at them go," she murmured. Every captain thinking on their feet, adapting to the situation. "This is why we'll win." Her XO nodded in agreement. The Empire's tactics haven't changed in centuries. They've never needed to adapt. One particular engagement caught Jane's eye. The ESS Hephaestus, a heavy battleship, was taking on 3 Imperial destroyers at once. Instead of relying solely on its formidable weapons, the Hephaestus was using its advanced point defense lasers to intercept incoming fire, while its main guns picked off the enemy ships one by one. "Innovative," Jane remarked. "Captain Chen is using defensive systems offensively. Make a note of that tactic for the fleet." Meanwhile, in the engine room of the ESS Enigma, Chief Engineer Raj Patel was working miracles. The Enigma, a stealth frigate, had taken a hit to its cloaking system. In the midst of battle, Raj and his team were attempting something never done before, rerouting power from the quantum fold drive to boost the cloaking field. "Come on, you beautiful machine," Raj muttered, his hands flying over the control panel. "Just a little more." With a surge of energy, the Enigma vanished from both visual and sensor detection. On the bridge, the captain grinned. "Full power to weapons," he ordered. "Let's show these Imperials a ghost story they'll never forget." The battle raged on, with Earth's forces consistently outmaneuvering and outfighting their Imperial counterparts. Human creativity and adaptability were proving to be more than a match for the Empire's superior numbers and brute force approach. Dr. Sarah Chen, watching the battle data from Luna Base Alpha, couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. The technologies she and her team had developed were performing beyond their wildest expectations. "Look at the efficiency of the quantum fold drives," she said to her colleague, Dr. Yuki Tanaka. "They're achieving 30% more jumps than we projected, with 15% less energy consumption." Yuki nodded, equally impressed. "And the adaptive shield matrices are learning from each hit they take. By the end of this battle, our defenses will be twice as strong as when we started." Back on the front lines, John Smith, the former car mechanic turned spacecraft engineer, was in his element. During a lull in the fighting, he had suggested a wild idea to his ship's captain, using the quantum fold drive to create localized space-time distortions as a defensive measure. "Think of it like airbags for spaceships," John had explained. "We fold space around incoming projectiles, sending them, well, who knows where." But not at us. To everyone's surprise, it worked. John's innovation was quickly transmitted to other ships in the fleet, providing yet another edge against the Imperial forces. As the battle entered its final stages, it was clear that humanity's technological prowess was more than a match for the Galactic Empire. Earth's ships, with their cutting-edge designs and innovative use of technology, had run circles around the enemy. Admiral Rodriguez allowed herself a moment of satisfaction as she watched the last Imperial ships flee the solar system. Humanity had not just survived its first major galactic conflict, it had excelled. "Send word to all ships," Jane ordered. "Well done, everyone. But stay alert. This is just the beginning." As the adrenaline of battle faded, Jane knew that the real challenges lay ahead. Humanity had proven its military might, but now they needed to secure their place in a much larger, more complex galactic community. The human fleet regrouped, their ships battered but unbroken. They had faced their first true test and passed with flying colors. Whatever came next, Earth was ready to face it head-on, armed with the most powerful weapons of all: human ingenuity, adaptability, and an unbreakable spirit of innovation. The news of Earth's victory over the Galactic Empire spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On countless worlds, in the corridors of power, and in the homes of ordinary beings, the impossible had happened. A young, unknown species had defeated the mightiest force in known space. On the planet Zintor, home of the Galactic Council, the atmosphere was electric. Representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered in the Great Hall of Voices, their usual decorum forgotten in the face of unprecedented events. Ambassador Lyanna Tuzora of the Asari Republics took the floor, her blue skin shimmering under the hall's lights. "Esteemed colleagues," she began, her voice carrying across the chamber, "we stand at a crossroads. The Empire, which has ruled us for a millennium, has been humbled by a species many of us didn't even know existed." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some nodded in agreement, others looked skeptical. "I propose we send a diplomatic mission to Earth," Lyanna continued. "We must learn more about these humans and their remarkable technology." From his seat, the Krogan representative, Warlord Grunt, let out a booming laugh. "Diplomacy? Bah! These humans have proven themselves in battle. I say we offer them an alliance. With their ships and Krogan warriors, we could crush the Empire once and for all." The hall erupted into chaos, with representatives shouting their opinions and arguing amongst themselves. Meanwhile, on Earth, the aftermath of the battle brought its own challenges. Admiral Jane Rodriguez found herself thrust into the unfamiliar world of diplomacy as she prepared to meet the first alien delegation, not intent on conquering the planet. "I'm a soldier, not a politician," Jane grumbled as she adjusted her dress uniform. Her aide, Lieutenant Kim, smiled sympathetically. "Just be yourself, Admiral," Kim advised. "Your honesty and directness might be refreshing to them." As Jane prepared for the meeting, other scenes played out across Earth and its newly established colonies. On Mars Base 1, Dr. Sarah Chen was giving a tour to a group of wide-eyed alien scientists. The visitors marveled at the quantum computing labs and anti-gravity chambers. "But how did you develop all this in secret?" asked Searle, a tentacled cephalon scientist. Sarah smiled. "Human ingenuity, determination, and a healthy dose of paranoia," she replied. "When you know you're not alone in the universe, you tend to prepare for the worst." Back on Earth, in the bustling streets of New Tokyo, humans and aliens mingled for the first time. Curious children pointed at towering insectoid thranks, while street vendors tried to convince Volus traders to try authentic Earth cuisine. John Smith, the mechanic-turned-engineer, found himself giving an impromptu lecture on human engineering to a group of fascinated alien technicians in a local bar. "See, the trick with the quantum fold drive," he explained, sketching on a napkin, "is to think of space-time like a big old bedsheet. You just gotta know where to pinch and fold to get where you want to go." His audience looked baffled but intrigued, especially when John demonstrated his point by folding his beer mat and pushing a peanut through it. As these scenes played out, not everyone was celebrating. In hidden bases across the galaxy, Imperial loyalists plotted their revenge. Admiral Zaxthor, disgraced but alive, swore to reclaim his honor and crush the human upstarts. "They caught us by surprise once," he hissed to his remaining officers. "It will not happen again. Spread the word to all who still believe in the Empire's destiny. We will return, and Earth will burn." Unaware of these dark machinations, Earth continued to bask in its newfound galactic celebrity. Trade agreements were signed, cultural exchanges begun, and military alliances forged. Humanity's spirit of adventure, so long confined to their own world, now had an entire galaxy to explore. As the first day of this new era drew to a close, Admiral Rodriguez stood at the window of her office, looking out at the stars. A small fleet of alien ships hung in orbit, a sight that would have been terrifying just weeks ago, but now seemed full of promise. "We did it," she said softly to herself. "We've taken our place among the stars." But even as she allowed herself a moment of pride, Jane knew that greater challenges lay ahead. Earth had proven itself in battle, but could it navigate the treacherous waters of galactic politics? Could it maintain its independence in a universe full of ancient, powerful civilizations? As she pondered these questions, Jane's comm unit beeped. A priority message from the front lines. She read it quickly, her expression growing serious. The Empire was regrouping. The real war, it seemed, was just beginning. Jane squared her shoulders and turned from the window. There was work to be done. Humanity's greatest test still lay ahead. 6 months after Earth's stunning victory, the galaxy held its breath. The Galactic Empire, humiliated but not destroyed, had been quietly rebuilding its forces. Now, they were ready to reclaim their lost glory. Admiral Zaxthor stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Immortal Vengeance. His eyes gleamed with a mix of hatred and anticipation. "The time has come," he announced to his officers. "Today, we remind the galaxy why the Empire has ruled for 1,000 years. Today, we crush the human vermin and any who dare stand with them." Across the galaxy, Imperial fleets began their advance. Hundreds of worlds found themselves under attack as the Empire lashed out in a massive, coordinated assault. On Earth, alarms blared in every military installation. Admiral Jane Rodriguez rushed to the war room, her face grim. "Status report," she barked as she entered. Her staff quickly brought her up to speed. The Empire was attacking on multiple fronts, targeting not just Earth, but also its new allies. Jane's mind raced. The Empire's forces were vast, far outnumbering Earth's fleet and those of its allies. But numbers weren't everything. "Send word to all our ships and allies," she ordered. "Initiate Operation Hydra." Operation Hydra was a daring strategy, developed by Earth's best military minds in anticipation of this very scenario. Instead of meeting the Empire head-on, Earth's forces would use hit-and-run tactics, striking weak points and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Across the battlefield, human ingenuity clashed with Imperial might. On the jungle world of Nix 5, a small team of human special forces, led by Captain Miguel Sanchez, faced off against an entire Imperial army. "Remember your training," Miguel told his team as they activated their adaptive camouflage suits. "We're not here to win the battle. We're here to make them lose it." Using their advanced technology and guerrilla tactics, Miguel's team wreaked havoc on the Imperial forces. They sabotaged equipment, disrupted communications, and sowed confusion in the enemy ranks. Meanwhile, in space, the ESS Defiant found itself surrounded by a dozen Imperial cruisers. Admiral Rodriguez, commanding from the bridge, remained calm. "Charge the Nexus cannon," she ordered. The Nexus cannon was Earth's latest weapon, capable of linking multiple ships into a single devastating attack. As the Imperial ships closed in, The Defiant and its escort vessels unleashed a blast of energy that tore through the enemy formation. But the Empire's numbers seemed endless. For every ship Earth destroyed, 2 more took its place. Slowly but surely, the Imperial forces pushed forward. On Earth, tensions ran high. Dr. Sarah Chen worked frantically in her lab, pushing the limits of human technology. "We need a game changer," she muttered, her eyes red from lack of sleep, something they've never seen before. As she spoke, an alert flashed on her screen. One of her experimental AIs had found a pattern in the Empire's attack strategy. Sarah's eyes widened as she realized the implications. "Get me Admiral Rodriguez," she shouted to her assistant. "I think I've found their weakness." But before Sarah could relay her discovery, the lab shook violently. Imperial forces had broken through Earth's outer defenses. The battle for humanity's homeworld had begun. In cities around the globe, civilians huddled in shelters as Imperial ships darkened the skies. But humanity wasn't going down without a fight. In the streets of New York, Tokyo, and Lagos, people took up arms against the invaders. John Smith, the former mechanic, led a group of civilians in rigging up makeshift defenses. "They may have fancy ships," he told his nervous neighbors, "but we got something they don't, a home worth fighting for." As the battle raged on Earth and across the stars, both sides took heavy losses. The Empire's vast numbers clashed against humanity's innovative tactics and advanced technology. Worlds burned, ships exploded, and countless lives were lost on both sides. Admiral Zax Thor watched the battle unfold with growing frustration. The humans were proving to be far more resilient than he had anticipated. Every time he thought he had them cornered, they would pull off some impossible maneuver or unleash a new devastating weapon. "Why won't they just die?" he snarled, slamming his fist on his command console. Little did Zax Thor know, the tide of battle was about to turn once again. Dr. Chen's discovery was making its way to the front lines, and Earth's allies were rallying for a counterattack. As the fate of Earth and the galaxy hung in the balance, one thing became clear. This would be a battle that neither side would ever forget. The battle for Earth had reached its climax. Imperial forces swarmed the planet, while humanity and its allies fought desperately to push them back. The fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy hung in the balance. In the skies above New Delhi, the ESS Defiant engaged in a fierce dogfight with Admiral Zax Thor's flagship, the Immortal Vengeance. Energy beams crisscrossed the atmosphere as the 2 mighty vessels clashed. On the Defiant's bridge, Admiral Jane Rodriguez gritted her teeth. "Status on Dr. Chen's discovery," she demanded. Her XO responded quickly. "The data's been transmitted to all our ships and allies. We're ready to implement on your command." Jane nodded grimly. "Then let's end this. All ships, initiate Protocol Omega." Across the battlefield, Earth's forces and their allies suddenly changed tactics. Ships began moving in seemingly chaotic patterns, their movements unpredictable yet somehow coordinated. On the Immortal Vengeance, Admiral Zax Thor watched in confusion. "What are they doing?" he muttered. "Helm, intercept the Defiant." But as his ship moved to engage, it found itself surrounded by 3 Earth vessels that had appeared out of nowhere. Before Zax Thor could react, all 3 opened fire simultaneously. The Immortal Vengeance shuddered under the assault. Zax Thor stumbled as explosions rocked his ship. "Impossible," he roared. "How did they predict our movements?" The answer lay in Dr. Sarah Chen's breakthrough. She had discovered a fundamental flaw in the Empire's tactical AI, a pattern so deeply ingrained that it was invisible to the Imperials themselves. Earth's forces were now exploiting this flaw, predicting and countering the Empire's every move. On the ground, the tide was turning as well. In the ruins of London, John Smith led a group of civilians and soldiers in a daring assault on an Imperial command post. Armed with makeshift weapons and sheer determination, they caught the enemy completely off guard. As John planted explosives on the Imperial communications array, he grinned at his companions. "Remember, folks, Human unpredictability is our secret weapon. Across the globe, and throughout nearby star systems, similar scenes played out. The Empire's once unstoppable advance faltered, then began to crumble. In orbit, the Defiant and the Immortal Vengeance continued their deadly dance. Both ships were badly damaged, trailing debris and venting atmosphere. Inside the Defiant, Admiral Rodriguez held onto her command chair as the ship shook violently. "One more hit," she told her crew. "Give it everything we've got." The Defiant's engines flared brilliantly as it charged straight at the Imperial flagship. At the last moment, it unleashed a barrage of weapons fire, catching the Immortal Vengeance in a vulnerable spot. Zaxthor watched in disbelief as his ship's systems failed around him. "No," he whispered, "this cannot be." The Immortal Vengeance exploded in a spectacular fireball, marking the end of the Empire's last great admiral, and the Empire itself. As word of Zaxthor's defeat spread, Imperial forces across the galaxy began to surrender. The battle was over. Earth had won. In the days that followed, the galaxy saw rapid changes. The Galactic Empire, which had stood for 1,000 years, collapsed in a matter of weeks. In its place, a new alliance began to form, one built on cooperation and mutual respect rather than domination. On Earth, amid the celebration and reconstruction, Admiral Rodriguez found herself in a new role, Earth's representative to the newly formed Galactic Coalition. As she prepared for her first address to the Coalition, Jane reflected on the incredible journey that had brought humanity to this point. From a hidden, primitive species to a major galactic power, all in the span of a few short years. "We stand at the dawn of a new era," Jane began, addressing representatives from hundreds of worlds. "An era where no single species dominates, where innovation and cooperation are valued above all else." She paused, looking out at the diverse assembly. "Earth and humanity are honored to join this galactic community. We bring with us our creativity, our determination, and our unbreakable spirit. Together, we will build a future brighter than any of us could have imagined." As applause filled the chamber, Jane allowed herself a small smile. The challenges ahead were many, but she had no doubt that humanity would face them head-on, just as they always had. In the streets of Earth's cities, humans and aliens worked side by side to rebuild. John Smith found himself teaching alien engineers about human jury-rigging techniques, while Dr. Sarah Chen led a multi-species team in pushing the boundaries of science even further. And high above, Earth's fleet stood watch, a symbol of how far humanity had come and a promise of adventures yet to come. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity was ready to play its part in shaping the future. As the sun set on this new era, one thing was clear: the human spirit, once unleashed, was a force that could reshape the very stars themselves.